Oh. Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us. I was meant to put a countdown on then. Sorry. So what we're going to be doing now, every week, every Tuesday, between 8:30 and 9, we're going to be doing updates. We're going to be doing a weekly show. It'll either be myself and Kim, or it'll be another member of PCP Wales. So, we're just going to come on and give you some updates. What's going on with the campaign, and any updates with the fundraiser, and just give some informative information as well. So I know that Kim had some ideas on the agenda today. So I will pass you on to the lovely Kim.
Hi everyone. So you're going to have to excuse the state. And we have been in the garden most of the day. Then we come in and we've had a really long legal meeting. So that was interesting. I think we're going to start this week. This is our first live together since we've gone mainstream, Lucia.
It is, yeah.
So we've, as you know, guys, we've made lots of newspapers, mainstream, local. We've made... I was on Jeremy Vine and Church Militant. Lucia, you was on another TV show?
Yeah, I was on Love TV. It was a Christian channel, which that was really good as well.
But you can find all this stuff, guys. All of this is on our website, on the news page. So it's all there. Every article, the interviews we've done is all there for you all to see. I'll just talk a little bit about my Jeremy Vine interview, shall I?
Yeah.
So as you would have seen, guys, they put that young boy up against me. I didn't even know who he was. That was simply to persuade the younger audience that what he is saying is cool and right, and what I'm saying is wrong. But it failed, didn't it? Because we had a lovely lady come on at the end, Susan, and Susan actually set the record straight. She said she knows we're right and we should get ourselves organized. So I just want to admit as well up front, in case anybody wants to pull me up on it at a later date, I did make 2 mistakes on that interview. I'm not going to say what those mistakes were because I want people to think I don't know what I'm talking about. But 2 weeks on, the fact that I haven't been pulled up on it, that's enough to say the people that we were put up against simply don't have a clue what's going on. So that was pretty much our mainstream media stint, Lou. It was very busy week for us, wasn't it?
It was crazy. It was a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. And I was actually really happy because when we knew we were going to be going into the mainstream, there was a lot of, I suppose, anxiety that we were going to get loads and loads of backlash. But in fact, there was some backlash, don't get me wrong, there was, especially on the Wales Online comments. Gosh, there was some backlash there. But in fact, a lot of people could see where we were coming from and could actually understand, whoa, what, from 3 years old, learning sex education? And yeah, a lot of people were actually showing their concern as well. And it was surprising, well, I've said this before on other lives, how many parents still don't know about it. There's a lot of people that still need, and even people that do know about it, they seem to still think that this is just about teaching children about periods, which it is. So it goes way beyond anything like that, and this is our main concern. It's not educating children, it's sexualizing them.
Yeah.
And this is what we've got the big issue with.
We've actually been sent an email by a student from Cardiff University who wants us to take part in her work, and because she's led to believe that we are campaigning against the teaching of menstruation and periods. So that's quite an insane, absurd thing to say, really. It's mad. But I want to touch on that because a lot of people say girls need to know about their bodies. Yes, absolutely they do. So can you just explain why that in 2021, on the 4th reading of amendments on the Curriculum and Assessment Act, was menstruation only entered at that point? even though we've been led to believe this is for children to learn about their bodies and things like that, and this is the whole purpose of a sex education, then how come it wasn't actually brought in until the final reading? And then we had the female politicians wanting a medal because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for them. Well, considering that's supposed to be the first thing it was to address, how on earth was it the last thing implemented? So that's just one point there that I found very, very interesting. And the student actually got that information from Wales Online that we're against the teaching of periods. What we are against is the removal of parental opt-out from their child's education, period. That should never happen. Regardless of what the subject is or what the lesson is, why on earth would you want to legislate a parent away from their child's education? It's just simply unheard of. Education is a three-way partnership, the student, the school, and home. It's just nuts. That's the first main concern, why a school would want to legislate a parent away from a child's life. Because school is a big part of a child's life, let's be honest, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. But why would they want to legislate it for a relationship and sexuality education? Again, that's very sinister, So that again should really, really concern people. And then the fact it's from age 3, So even without looking at where this education comes from, without looking at the 52 countries, without knowing the reference in UNESCO and Scotland, without knowing all that stuff, we need to be realistic here. The government has legislated the parents out of their child's education. Why would they do that? They've legislated them away from their child's education based on a subject surrounding relationships, sex, and sexuality from age 3. So those 3 points alone should be concerning. It should be concerning if they'd enforce in any subject on a child. Why would the state genuinely need to bring in legislation to teach a subject? It's just insane, because when you're learning children and teaching children, isn't it a generalized subject? Don't we all want our children taught in a great way? Don't we all want our children to have a great education? So why would they need to legislate for it? Simply do not understand. You legislate against the schools. The schools must honour a certain style of teaching or whatever, this, that, and the other. But you never, ever, ever legislate the parents out the way. Because what is the result of this? Will you be criminalising the parent? Are you going to be a criminal then for refusing some aspects of your child's education? Do you know what I mean? Education, criminalisation of the parent, those two things alone don't even sit right. So, and that's before going deep.
Kim, it really, just like hearing that alone, it's almost like it's breaking up the family unit, isn't it? It's like throw the parents out of it. Now, parents, we know we're the primary carers of our child. We, as mum and dad, or mum and mum, or whoever you may be, we're the ones that care about our children most, more than any teacher, more than any government official, more than anybody. It's the parents that want our children's best interests at heart. And, we keep coming up with lots of arguments, such as it is age appropriate. Now, when you're teaching your child about things such as puberty, where babies come from, etc., when you first start telling your child about that, you tell your child at an age that that they're old enough to hear, that they can deal with that, because you as a parent know your child more than anyone else. Now, one child at 9 might have the same sort of capacity in that type of area than another child at age 12. So to say that this education is age appropriate is absolutely diabolical, because there's actually no tool to prove to actually measure what is age appropriate for any child. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're up against, you know, we keep getting every single argument they keep saying for this education. It's absolute nonsense. They
And
don't
that's
actually.
it. So, like, this is what we do. This is what we do in this live for now, really. So, just discuss a few things that people have said in favour of this education. And I'm glad Lucia mentioned the age appropriate and developmental appropriate, because that's something that keeps coming back all the time. Everybody just trusts because it's going to be taught in an age and developmentally appropriate way. Well, actually, every child in that class is not the same age, because there's a huge difference between the child born in September and the child born the following August. That's an entire year. When you think of a 2-year-old to a 3-year-old, that's a big gap. 3-year-old to 4-year-old is a big gap. If they mixed classes, that's a 2-year gap. So that's just age, right? So developmental appropriate, they all develop differently. There's 20% of that class that's got additional learning needs. So that can be anything. That can be behavioral problems. That can be ODD. So that, do you know what I mean? That's defiance, opposition defiance disorder. So anything somebody says, they go and do the opposite. So don't do this, they go and do that. So again, we asked the Welsh Government, we asked them in a Freedom of Information request, we asked them for this assessment tool, because if they know when this child is age and developmentally appropriate, then surely they can share that tool with adults, parents, so parents also will know their child is age and developmentally appropriate. So we've asked them for the assessment tool or the scientific statement. Now, if you need to access this, if you go on our website, www.publicchildprotectionwales.org, go on the sex education page, right down at the bottom, you will see a response from the Welsh Government. It simply does not exist. There is no definition of age or developmentally appropriate or an assessment tool that can be used to define this on an individual level for each child, neurotypical, neurodiverse, global delayed. That simply does not exist. So when we keep hearing age and developmentally appropriate, please put that into practice. Apply that to the children you know. You try putting that into practice, because teachers haven't got a magic wand, you know. Teachers are human beings too. So if teachers can apply this in an age and developmentally appropriate way, there is no reason any other human being can do the same, sharing the same tool. But it doesn't exist. And we've also got that in the government's own words. So even though it is said time and time again throughout these articles, throughout the government documentation, the fact of the matter is this: it doesn't exist, and we've got the document to prove that.
Yeah.
What's another thing we keep getting there? What's another thing we keep getting told about this?
Right. Okay. So I was just actually going to say, it was actually something that a teacher had come up to me in a protest that we were at. Oh God, not last Saturday, the Saturday before. And he claimed he was a teacher that. He said, what is, because the protest we were at was about raising awareness with regards to child sex abuse, in particular institutionalized sex abuse. And he was just like, well, what is this? Why is this a reason? Why is child sex abuse a reason for for not having the RSC? And I said, well, for starters, if a child is being sexually abused, being put in these lessons, that's going to be triggering for them. That's going to be traumatic. And his actual answer to that, this is a teacher now who's in charge of the RSC in one of the English schools. His answer to that was, if a child is being sexually abused, then they will honour it, that they don't have to be in those lessons. Now, that's hugely problematic, isn't it, Kimberly? Because
yeah, we've been told that quite a lot, mind, that they will remove an abused child from a class. So my response to that is this: how can you remove an abused child from the classroom if by adulthood 70% of them haven't disclosed yet? It's impossible. It's impossible. This is a hidden crime.
yeah.
If they don't know, if they still haven't disclosed by adulthood, that is 70% of those children being abused have never told. So how can you spot? That's a large proportion, mind. There's a large proportion, So we said that again cannot be done. You cannot remove abused children from the class because you don't know who's been abused. You're not meant to know. So again, this is admirable that the teachers have got these answers and things like that. But in reality, let's put it into practice. Let's apply this theory to practice. And, time and time again, we keep coming back to the same thing. Simply does not exist. It simply does not work.
Exactly. Another thing that we're always said as well is, like, from age 3 in this RSE, they want to teach children the correct terminology to their genitals, and it's not like like what you would usually use in a childlike way. This is actually the sexual names of your genitals, and they seem to think teaching children this will save them from getting sexually abused, because they'd be able to disclose if they are being abused. And this is hugely problematic as well, isn't it, Kimberly?
Yeah, let me put this into layman's terms. So I know a lot of parents will be able to relate if I put it this way. So when you put your child's name on their jumper, you've told everyone your child's name, right? So it's easy for people to say, oh, Esme, I know you. I'm your mother's friend, or this, that, and the other. That's how easy it is to engage. It's no different when you're giving the children the same terminology and the same words to use for their private parts. You've given the whole public, the whole environment, you've given them all the word, the name for those private parts, which make it easy for a predator and abuser to engage with children. That's how these discussions usually tend to start. Attention is drawn to these areas. Now, people will use the excuse, teachers don't know because the uncle licked the cookie or the uncle licked the mouse or whatever. That's why we retrain teachers. That's why we take away the administration responsibilities teachers got. We allow them the time to connect with the children in their class. So they've got time to ask these questions. What's your mouse's name? What color is your mouse? What cookie? What's your favorite cookie? That's how you get further with these things. But the best way to put this is, if you're going to allow teaching the correct terminology for private parts in a public place and make it public, there's no safeguard in there. At least with code words, you've only got the people close to you who actually know it. Now, children are always going to be at risk. That's at home and school, family, friends, or whatever. So try and keep the conversations about genitalia to the minimum. And use code words because you don't want people to know.
Yeah, and also, if you're going to safeguard a child, you just tell them that nobody touches you in your private area. This is your private area. Nobody touches you. Full stop. However, we're really concerned about this education because it says things like good touch, bad touch. If something doesn't. We've seen things in the documents. If they're telling children if something doesn't feel right, you don't have to comply. And this is really, really problematic because a lot of groomers, a lot of these sick people, and I'm going to call them sick people because they are. That's exactly what they are. They're not nasty to the child. They gain the children's trust and they know what they're doing. So, when you're actually saying to the child, yes, you can say yes or no, you don't have to comply, then this is also opening a door. This is opening them wide open to being abused as well. Because what they should be told is it's always no. Your private area is your private area. No one else. Like even as a parent, you don't, once your child is old enough to wash themselves or go to the toilet, you don't even touch them. So, as a parent, you are teaching them that anyway. But if they are going to bring anything into the schools, it just should be private area, no one, no zilch. There's no, teaching children about consent. Young children should never, ever be taught consent, full stop.
That's another thing people don't quite understand. When you're thinking of, and the reason why we're talking about predators is because we're told this education safeguards. So to protect your vehicle from car theft, you have to think like a car thief. To protect your house from burglary, you have to think like a burglar. So to protect your children from sexual predators, you need to think like a sexual predator. Only a sexual predator isn't always a sexual predator. A sexual predator isn't always a paedophile. Do you know what I mean? So you don't actually study one type of person. We think of the word paedophile and we think of a weirdo, a strange man. We think of people like that. That's not entirely true. There's different types of offenders and there's different ways of looking at it. The word paedophile actually means child love. So we've got people who actually solely believe in this word for the true meaning. Child love. It is love. It is an equal partnership, an equal relationship, equal partnership. So that's another type there. It's a different type of offender. You've got the other type of offender, then, like I said, there's a difference between a paedophile and a sexual predator. A sexual predator is more of an opportunist. Won't really waste much time in the grooming process. They are going to attack you, whether you're male, female, young, old, or whatever. So that's a different thing again. So you can't even teach just about sexual predators. You know what I mean? Because that, like I said, that's opportunist. That's mostly stranger danger. So what are you going to teach about interfamilial abuse? Because they say an abuse happens at home. All right, we'll take those statistics. They're not actually talking about interfamilial abuse, are they? They're talking about sexual violence. Abuse in children is rarely violent. The most times there has been violent, and this is where it gets complicated again. Am I confusing you? I hope so, because it's bloody damn well complicated. And there's more layers to it than an onion. So when you peel off the layers of an onion, eventually you get to the middle. There is no answers and no one way of teaching to protect children from predatory behavior. So let's look at the sexual violence. Okay, sexual violence happens or used to happen mostly in institutions. Well, school is an institution. We treat teaching right. And no, not anymore, because now things have changed. These things are in public ownership, or like the care homes are in public ownership. The schools have never really had that issue. The residential schools did. So the violence has curbed back now. Do you know what I mean? So the violence, we don't have these residential establishments anymore the way we had them before. So the violence has toned right down. So again, do you know what I mean? So yeah, the stats fitted into the institution. We're not teaching about institutions, but if we did, we should be teaching sexual violence. And actually, sexual violence is not there anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's very, very complicated, unbelievably complicated. But we keep getting told that this safeguards. It does not safeguard. And like we've said, like Lucia was saying about consent, these people, especially the ones who believe in child love, they believe these children consent. Then we've got the sexual exploitation then. So we're talking about the teenagers. Yes, teenagers are out there consenting to what they believe are meaningful relationships. They don't know they've been exploited 9 times out of 10 until their mid-20s going on to 30. By that time, they're in a hell of a mess because they've been destroyed by someone they thought they'd loved. They've been passed around all based on consent.
What they think is consent.
So consent is problematic. It is not a safeguarding tool at all, simply because, like Lucia said, these people believe children can consent. And again, that's not all predators, you know what I mean? Because they go through a grooming process to get to that thing. Sometimes predators will offend and abuse a child, and a child will never even know it had been abused because it was too young to even understand. So it's such a complicated field. So please stop saying this safeguards. It doesn't safeguard.
No, it doesn't.
It's not a safeguard against a sexual predator. A teacher will always remain a student in this subject.
It is, as you said, like it is a really, really complex. It is a complex subject. Teachers are taught to teach. Usually, they get their PGCE, and they get it in the language that the subject that they're teaching, but they also sort of like just get it overall teaching. They do a safeguarding thing, but it's not really like we did the safeguarding thing that they do. It's not that great, really, isn't it? It basically.
Well, let's put that theory into practice, and so that again, guys, you got safeguarding level 2 that they do every year. They got to polish up. They just get told to look out for things. marks on kids, stuff like that, kids becoming withdrawn, wetting themselves, stuff like that they got to look out for. And what do? They have to report it to Safeguard Lead. What does Safeguard Lead do? Safeguard Lead either just writes it in the book, or they decide if it goes to social services, the police, or the safeguarding board. So that is it. How is that actually safeguarding a child? How does that safeguard a child? The only way you safeguard a child properly is by working on preventative models, not promotion of this issue. Preventative models. And before because I am aware I have babbled on a bit, but before we go off track, I don't want to miss this last one out, right? I've got to get this one in. Kids have got access to online porn.
Yeah.
They've got to have this education because they can get it all in a click of a button. Well, do you know what? That's not the kid's fault.
No.
That's your fault, my fault, the government's fault. Why haven't we put a stop to this? Because when I was growing up, there was top shelf in the newsagents. I can't see it on top shelf now. But there was top shelf in the newsagents, and that's where all the adult stuff stayed. So why is this stuff in the click of a button? That is something we as adults should pull together, take responsibility for, and petition government, because they are essentially failing our children when they can censor us before demonstrations against this sex education. They can sure to hell censor pornography and stop our children having access to it. Because let me go a little bit further, because pornography actually damages people.
Yeah.
It actually damages people. It changes the wire into their brain. It affects their sex life. It affects their libido. So by saying, are they going to access it anyway? Do you realize, right, that you are going to cause long-term damage within your child when it becomes an adult? This will impact their relationships in later life. So by saying they're going to have access to it anyway, do you know what? That is simply not good enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough. And, sort of just to follow on from that as well, what I always wonder is, why is there no, like you're saying, governments should be able to censor stuff. They can. The big tech, they can censor stuff if they wanted to. If they wanted to put controls into place, they could. Now, another concern of mine is, why is the pornography industry, the film industry, the music industry, why aren't they regulated anyway? Why aren't they being more responsible?
Why aren't they being more responsible? Like I said, we used to have after 9 o'clock stuff would come on.
Yeah.
So why, so they are being irresponsible for a start. And like you said, why aren't they being regulated?
Yeah, like I get regulated in my job, and I'm an accountant. I've got to be a member of a body, and we have got to abide by certain rules. So why is it? And it's like the music industry is terrible as well, because there's idols. Children look up to these men and women, and they're flaunting themselves. They're being very sexual. They're sort of, they're doing all sorts of things that you don't want your children to be exposed to. It's bad enough that we've got filters that are poor, especially the girls, they're feeling, feeling very, very low. Their self-esteem is very low because of these filters. So that is bad enough anyway. But then they're bringing in, it's cool to, sort of be promiscuous, sexually free. And our kids are exposed to this, and they're looking up to these people. So the music industry, the industries, the big tech, our governments, they've all got to, they're all playing a big part in this, and they need to shape up. And it's not good enough. And as you said, pornography, like whenever you hear about a sort of someone who has a sex abuser, they're always addicted to porn.
Yeah,
always the same. So
it remaps, like I say, it remaps the wire in their brain anyway. At the time, the prefrontal cortex is still developing. You change the wire into their brain by the time they're 25, there's no changing it back. So we as adults should be protecting our kids, It's all been made out to be fun. Like I said, it should have fun and glamorous, and actually it's damaging people. And to use as an excuse to bring this agenda into our schools is simply not going to wash.
Exactly. And it's not even, because they say, that it's better they learn it in the classroom than online. Well, no, it's not actually. It's like you're just bringing everything in that you're trying to protect your children from, and you're now bringing it into the classroom.
Yeah, bringing it into the classroom. And that's another thing as well, guys. We need to regain control of our children's education, because we get a lot of reports now where parents have gone to the police in Scotland, and the police are saying things like this: we cannot get involved in education, health, and politics. Right? So let me just get that straight. We cannot get involved in education, health, and politics. Who defines this stuff as education? Who? So if the police can't look at it, because I know the sexual crimes team have got a tool, right, where they look at level of sexual offences. So if the sexual crimes team are not allowed to look at classroom resources, who the hell is defining that as education? I want the sexual crimes team to look at it.
Yeah,
I want the people really trained for this stuff to have a look. And if they haven't got a say and they haven't got an input, it's not good enough.
No, it's not. And the other thing as well, Kim, I'm glad you said that. Now we are whenever we're proven right, because teachers are like, no, they're never going to teach that year, and you prove them right by showing them articles of sort of content that's already in the Scottish and English schools. They'll say things like, oh, that's because the schools or the teachers misunderstood and they taught it incorrectly.
Yeah, so, they are being wrong. So how can you trust teachers who are sometimes getting it wrong?
Yeah. And you can't, if something's if so many schools and so many teachers are getting it wrong, then, and it can be interpreted wrong, then that's wrong in itself.
Yeah.
But then again, who's regulating them?
Exactly.
The police can't regulate them. So who is regulating them? Well, we know who's going to be regulating them, don't we?
Yeah, we do. UNESCO in this country.
Exactly.
Right. There's one really important thing I want to say now regarding the media, and that is the government keep issuing statements. So a spokesperson for the Welsh government keeps issuing a statement, guys, saying that group, they're spreading misinformation. So please, can you all respond to the media? Write to these articles that you've read this in, write to the government and ask them specifically which piece of this is misinformation, because we will gladly remove it from what we're preaching. Because as it stands now, the information we're giving to you is the same information we're taking into court. It's the same information being handled by an international human rights barrister. So, guys, it's entirely up to you. Are you going to allow the lazy journalists to publish a statement from a nameless person? So they don't even put a name of the person inside of mine, just a spokesperson. So are you going to allow a statement from a nameless person to say we're spreading misinformation? It's your duty, it's your job to check out what is misinformation and what is not misinformation, because I do not want to be misleading people, whether that's intentionally or unintentionally. I don't want to be doing that. The government will not tell us what's misinformation. Maybe you guys will have a little bit of better luck with that than what we have had.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we are talking, whether it be on posts, on our website, on lives, we do check our information, don't we? We check it, we recheck it. We don't just share anything on you, So, we have got a big responsibility, because if we did say something that was incorrect, then we could be discredited like that, just for one mistake. So,
if we say one thing that's wrong, okay, then we've discredited the entire thing. All this work will be for absolutely nothing. We are not going to do that, okay? We are not misleading anyone. We got no intentions of misleading anyone. We're not interpreting things. We are just seeing what they're dishing out, what they have dished out.
We do try to keep our opinion out of it. In obviously everyone has an opinion. We're not robots, but we do our best to just stick with the facts. So if we're reading things, we'll actually deliver what is actually being taught. Rather than. Yeah, of course we can have
this is why we connected with Scotland, for the simple fact is we were using their lesson resources. Kirsty Williams was referencing Professor Davidson, who wrote their curriculum of excellence, is writing our curriculum. Now UNESCO is sending Welsh teachers to the Scottish resources. So it's very important that we have to use Scotland to show you what could be in the future. 2 years down the line, it's very active. Oh, and I also want to say as well, guys, we've connected with SOS Scotland, so Save Our School Scotland, and they're a fantastic organisation. Get on their website, sosscotland.com. We had a great meeting with them on Saturday. We're looking for a hashtag to unite the two countries on this fight. It's been amazing. They've been working hard on certain areas which we're allowed to use. We've been working hard in other areas which they can use. Cross-reference things. We're ready to go, guys. We're ready to take this on a UK level as well. So look up SOS Scotland, guys. That's really, really important. Should I have a look who's in the chat, love?
Yeah, I was just having a look now. Right, Welsh Organics is asking when our next gathering is, our next protest, North or South Wales. So we have got one on the 21st of May at the Senedd, Cardiff Bay, our usual place. It's going to be a static one this time. We're not going to do the march. It's just going to be a static. Now, our aim is now on the third Saturday of every month, just to make it easier. Third Saturday of every month at 1 p.m. we'll be doing our gathering, our protest. So get as many of you as possible down there on the 21st. So that's not this Saturday. I think that's next Saturday. Yeah,
but
next
this Saturday we are going to North Wales just to do a bit of leafleting. We haven't been up there for a while. Literally nothing planned, no major event planned. We're just going up to just leaflet some people, talk to some people, try and raise awareness. We just sometimes just got to bite the bullet. But if there is a nice crowd, if we can get a nice steady crowd for North Wales, we will gladly do a demonstration up there once a month as well. So please get a coffee hour going, coffee mornings, connect with people, get your groups together. We are willing to travel all across this country. So going forward, our demos are going to be at the third Saturday of every month outside the Senedd, 1 p.m. Literally, we'll talk, say hello for an hour, if that. And then we'll all network, we'll all talk to each other, we'll just connect. But I'd like to see the same for North Wales as well, if that can be arranged, guys. We will be in North Wales this weekend. Don't ask me where, because I don't know.
But we will, yeah.
I'll post it on Friday or whatever. Like I said, it's no demonstration or nothing. It's literally to pound the pavements. But so the third Saturday of every month will be Cardiff. Let's see if we can start getting some pounding the pavements up in North Wales as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I just want to remind everyone about the coffee hours. I'm still doing the Porthcawl one at 6 p.m. every Thursday. The location changes depending on the weather. We're either right on the seafront at the Grind and Grow, or we're over at the Farmer's Arms in Nottage. So it really depends on the weather. But if you subscribe to our website, now this is really important. Please subscribe to our website, because we've got thousands of you in our groups on Facebook.
We need you on the website.
Yeah, we need you on the website. Like, we don't send out a lot of junk mail. It's literally, we only send it out just to remind you about meetings, to remind, to give you updates if there's anything important to tell you, and if there's anything going on with our fundraiser. So you're not going to get.
It kind of overrides the censorship on social media as well. Then, do you know what I mean? Yes. You will always get an email directly from us.
Yeah, absolutely. So please subscribe. www.publicchildprotectionwales.org. It's .org. It is. So just get subscribing. So at least then you're going to keep up to date with everything. Like, for example, with my coffee hour, if I need to cancel it for whatever reason or change the location, it's nice and easy if I can just send emails and just make sure that you're keeping up to date as well.
So I give people a shout out, Biello.
Absolutely.
Lisa, Alan, welcome to my world. Nancy, Geraint, Adele, Emma, Shane. Oh, I'm missing people now. Welsh Organics, PCP, we're on there. It just looks like people are having a chat, to be honest with you. So what we do, guys, what you'll notice, you might think that we're reading out comments that you can't see it. We're actually streaming to the PCP page, the education page, and YouTube. So sometimes you might see us reading stuff out that you don't know. Right. So another thing as well, guys, Adele's mentioned here now. We need, now a lot of you have sent us emails, you've sent us lesson content over the last 2 years. Resend it. Resend it, we need it. So we need to compile everything that's going on in schools. Now the emails you've had, there might be stuff in there that you think is no good, but it could be absolute gold dust to us. So if you can send that and send that to let me have a look. I've gone to right there. Admin at, I thought you put the education one on it. All right, never mind. Yeah, so send that to admin at publicchildprotectionwales.org and just put in the title school correspondence or lesson resources, something like that, so we can go through it. Because otherwise it's going to take us hours to go back through messages, and because we are a small team, guys, and time is precious, but it's a good job that we don't charge the same price as the barristers. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so I think that's it, guys. So yeah, what you got to do is you got to subscribe to our website, donate to our cause, get yourself a sponsored event. We are hoping to give you news of other sponsored events going on soon as well. Hopefully I'll have news of a new one tomorrow. I'm going to be doing one of my boy. Guys, do whatever you can. Do whatever you can. Give whatever you can. Let us know. Do you know what? We're willing to travel. We'll come to your area. We'll give people a talk. If there's only 5 of you, do you know what? We're happy to come. We're happy to come because 5 good people, right, is far better than 5,000 people doing nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we go and meet 5 people and each one of those go and tell 5 people, then 25. Obviously, it just like multiplies. Then
this is it. Like I said earlier, briefly, we've had a legal meeting tonight, and the thing is, guys, the legal fight isn't the be all and end all, because they've got us tied. They got us hook, line, and sinker, really, because they've got us from all angles. They're pretty words, they're different policies, different things they doing. Like Lucia said, the sexualization on TV, the porn online is we've got a mammoth task on our hands. But you know what? Even a winning court isn't a win, because a winning court isn't going to do nothing until the people know. When the people know, when the people speak, that's when everything changes, and it will change in an instant.
This is not a time to be quiet and coy. Like, I'm my personality type. I'm not one to sort of speak out normally. I'm quite sort of, quite reserved in that way. And I'm very, always quite worried to offend people. So I'm not the type to normally do things like this. But this subject is far too important to just sort of like step back and just leave things be. We can't do this. This is going to be the death of childhood, of childhood innocence, if we just allow it to carry on the way it's going. We've seen it going on in other countries. It's already in 52 countries. You know exactly what's coming. So even if you're a teacher and it's starting to come in and you think, oh, well, it doesn't look that bad. Well, if it doesn't look that bad, it's going to, because
take a look in the future.
Fast.
We need to take a look in the future now, guys. There's a lot to stake here. And like Lucia said, she's not this personality type. Guys, I'm not this personality type. I would never fight the government. Yes, I do fight individual cases for people, for children, for families on the quiet, confidentially. This is not something that we would do on a whim. We don't know each other prior to this. We wouldn't do this on a whim. Not one of us knew each other prior to this. This is serious. It's an attack on our children. Our children got sexual and reproductive rights. Like I said earlier, the government have legislated a lesson. They've legislated parents out of their kids' education. They've legislated the parents away from their kids' education surrounding sex education from age 3. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough to say, whoa, what's going on? We can argue and debate until we blue in the face. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. We just myth-busting it all for you. We myth-busting it all. We can keep arguing and keep arguing and keep arguing, but it's not going to stop the process. We can argue all day long, and that stuff is still coming hard and fast. Do we really want to be in a position where we think, oh, shit? Do we want to be kicking ourselves? No. Prevention is better than cure. Why would we risk it?
No, you can't. Something like this, you cannot risk at all. It's not like trying out a different way of, working out an algebra sum. This is actually, once your children learn this and are taught about it, it's embedded on their brain. Children's brains are like sponges. It's bad enough for us if we see something that's inappropriate, but for a child to be learning about inappropriate stuff, no, it's a no. You can't.
A line has been crossed. A line has been crossed, guys. No matter which way you look at this, a line has been crossed. The government's gone too far. We need to come together and put a stop to it. And that's what we are doing.
Absolutely. They can't be trusted. They've proven they cannot be trusted. And, if it was that good of an education, they would have been singing it from the rooftops as soon as it was signed up.
Not hiding it.
Yeah, exactly. Instead,
if it was that good of an education, why did the public reject it in overwhelming numbers?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. This now is the time to stand up. We've got quite a few watching tonight, Lou. I've got to go. I'm starting to feel a bit lightheaded. I think I better have some food.
Yeah, make sure you do, Kim. Look after yourself. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I didn't mention to share the video, but if you have shared the video, thank you so much. If you haven't, then please share it because people can watch it on replay then, because we need to get the message out. So
we'll be back regular live, and we every Tuesday now, Lou.
Absolutely, yeah. Between 8:30 and 9, we'll start the live. So yeah, lovely to see you all. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Ciao for now.